I will admit, maybe my head was in the sand and I wasn't aware that they were going to announce the winners of the 2030 hosting of the World Cup on Wednesday. So I woke up and saw social media, saw some articles, and I was like, what? I didn't see the whole story. I said, Spain, Portugal, Morocco is hosting the 2030 World Cup. And I was like, great. That's a perfect bid in this day and age. Two European teams, or two European countries next to each other with an incredible soccer football pedigree, helping out their neighbors to the south across the Mediterranean and giving Africa another World Cup. Brilliant. Sold. Then I read down a little bit further and it said, but to celebrate the centenary of the World Cup, the first World Cup held in 1930, Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay will host one game, and that will suffice of this 100-year celebration. And then Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay, if they're qualified, they will be qualified. There you go. Along with the three opponents that draw the short straws and have to begin their World Cup down in South America, where I looked at it from Argentina to Madrid, it's like 6,500 miles. So we now have a 6-team World Cup. So today on the Soccer OG, check out the Soccer OG podcast. I got a new one there with Stephen Goff of the Washington Post. We get ready for the announcement of the October window for the U.S. men's national team games against Germany and Ghana. Talk about the level of the players right now, how they're looking forward to. We'll talk about those playing in the Champions League. We'll talk a little bit 2030 World Cup. I don't have to explain it to you. Where all podcasts are available, the Soccer OG. And check out the Soccer OG here on my YouTube. Like and subscribe. Join it so you can get this incredible banter and zingers that I provide all the time. I've got to say, I'm trying FIFA. I understand this is a new age right now with regards to World Cup. It's changing, and I'm keeping up. I'm okay with expanding the field. I'm okay with multiple countries hosting a World Cup. I understand it. It gives so many an opportunity. And whether it is a money grab or not, the fact that you're giving other countries an opportunity to qualify and host, great. I think there's a lot of benefit to that. But this is just doing too much, right? And then selling me a line about it. Just don't say anything. Just say, this is how it's going to be. If you don't like it, don't feed me a line of, we are going to have a World Cup with 6 countries on 3 continents. I'm like, stop. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants 3 continents. 3 countries, maybe. 3 continents, no. So don't tell us we're doing this revolutionary new thing by bridging the world together. That's what the World Cup does every way. They find a host and the world comes in, and that's the bridging of the World Cup. You know that. I understand the money part. I understand the political part. Nobody wants that. This was an opportunity to give the World Cup to South America. And if Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay couldn't host it, Chile played in that World Cup, Brazil played in that World Cup, Peru played in that World Cup. If you need a little bit of help, the United States played in that World Cup, made the semifinals, beat Paraguay. I was there. Just kidding. So, if you're having issues, because I know the problems with South America, Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay can't compete with Europe, can't compete with the Middle East. Dilapidated stadiums. They're not going to be World Cup ready. In particular, Argentina, which would be the centerpiece, even though the World Cup would start at the Centenario in Montevideo, where it all began. That 1930 final ended up Argentina-Uruguay. So that's great, but I understand the limitations there. But we can overcome that because at some point you have to give South America a World Cup. Same way when they said Africa can't get one, there's not a country ready, you found a way to give it to South Africa, which was the right move. Some point, South America is going to get it. Now, the organizers from South America didn't seem too bothered that they weren't getting a World Cup. They were happy with this arrangement, which, I don't know if that's celebrating crumbs off a table, but I don't think there's any reason to celebrate. We're talking about one game, and then this weird commute to meet everyone else at the bigger party. we're not going to complain when it rolls around. We're going to watch it and go, great. So it's fantastic. Here's the World Cup. It doesn't really matter where they're playing. But there's something magic, right? I mean, even we got over Qatar. By the way, I mean, this announcement was a bigger bummer to me than when Sepp Blatter went, Qatar! At least that was like a lightning rod. You're like, whoa, what's going on? And it was one country. This was like, the right thing to do is give South America as big or small a World Cup, bite the bullet on the finances, get it out of the way, whether it's a three-country hosting it or all of South America. That's fine. You do it on the centenary. You don't give them this little appeasement and say, hey, centenary. Now let's get to Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. This feels very calculated too. You notice Saudi Arabia is not hosting 2030. Gianni Infantino probably owes a solid to the Saudis. I'm okay with the Saudi World Cup. I think Saudi Arabia, and I'm not including the human rights issues, which have to be addressed. And I think Saudi Arabia are willing to hopefully give some way. They're doing great things with soccer, with their league. They're doing great things with women's sports, believe it or not. So Saudi Arabia, granted, they have piles of money, and they're spending it on football. I think if it's hard, I know we have to separate these things, but that should be rewarded. So I'm okay with Saudi Arabia. But this was so evident that you're getting everyone out of the way so that 2034, Gianni Infantino can say, well, only Oceania or Asia can compete for the bid, which means Saudi Arabia and maybe another Australia, New Zealand bid. Even though Australia is not Oceania, but it is Asia, maybe that's something you can do. I still consider Australia Oceania, but maybe they can split the difference here to appease it. But they're not getting it. Saudi Arabia is getting it. Saudi Arabia was going to be part of a bigger Mediterranean World Cup with Egypt and I think Spain and Portugal. So Spain and Portugal's out. Do they still do it with Egypt? Probably not. Saudis have positioned themselves. So get ready for that to come. And I think it's going to be singular. So, hey, well, let's celebrate 3 continents and 6 countries. And let's just give it to one country 4 years later. This was just wasn't great. And I understand what's all behind it. And we've got to get used to it. And get used to a 64-team World Cup, which, again, I'm not against. This is progress. We can't stop it. I'm excited about a 48-team World Cup because teams like Norway or Albania or Venezuela or Oman. You know, let's disregard Oman. But those other countries, some good European teams, maybe an extra. Make sure Colombia gets in. That is appealing. There'll be some blowouts, but I get it, and they'll find a way to make it work, and we'll all be happy. It doesn't matter where they play. We saw that about Qatar. Once the games got started, we kind of forget about the point of reference, the place, and we watch football. And look, a game in Montevideo or the Monumental or in Paraguay at the Defensores del Chaco would be great. Those countries get to lift themselves off. I like that, but it's so weird to cut it off. And where does that stand historically? And again, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. We're going to move on, and that's that. They're going to be good games. Games in Spain and Portugal and Morocco are going to be awesome. Morocco with the World Cup success is going on there. They should be hosting in 2034. Spain, Portugal, Morocco should be 2034. Let me do it for you, FIFA. If you need some help, I'll do it for you. I'll dress a little nicer than my El Segundo Brewing Company shirt. South America, whether it's Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay, and Chile, and Peru. Bolivia was in the 1930 World Cup. It was all South American. Let's do that. But alas, we don't. And here we are. Messi. And not the good Messi, not Lionel Messi, just FIFA Messi. And the World Cups will come and go, and we just abide by it because that's the way it is. We can complain, and I'm trying not to complain too much because I get it. I know this is the deal. But this was a bridge too far. This was too much of a leap. The Soccer OG, check out the Soccer OG podcast where all podcasts are available. Like and subscribe us here. We'll be back with lots of videos. We'll get back with the U.S. announcement of their October camp. That's always fun. We'll see you soon.